welcome. Today I am talking about feeling the fear and making content anyway. So if you have ever felt like, I know I want to do this, I have something to say, and maybe you are being able to label what you're feeling as fear, or maybe it comes out as something else. Maybe it comes out as procrastination, as reasons, oh, this is too complicated, or even I just don't know what to say. So I'm going to wait. I'm not going to do anything until I know exactly what I'm going to say and have my whole funnel planned out and my offer and all that kind of stuff. So if you're feeling any of that, this video is for you. Thank you for joining me live or catching the replay. And let me see if I can get the Instagram live going. I had set it up. We're having trouble. Let's see what we can do here. I had set it up the day before, and I'm just not sure if, do you set it up the day of or the just before you're about to go live? So I'm going to go ahead and remove Instagram for now and see if I can add it back on. Okay, so I just need the stream key. I'm using StreamYard to stream. I use StreamYard to stream, to even just record videos. When I record interviews for my podcast, I use StreamYard as well. There are other options, of course. I used a script for editing, and they acquired I believe it was called Squadcast. It was one of those options where you can also record interviews. And what I like about software like this, like StreamYard, Squadcast, if that's what it was called, and Riverside, I used to use Riverside, is that it records locally onto your computer and then uploads the file to the cloud, which in opposite to that is Zoom, which records as it streams. So if you're having tech issues or if your guest is having tech issues, the quality of the video isn't as good. Sometimes the quality of the audio isn't as good. So which is why I use StreamYard. And I also use StreamYard because you can stream. You could do the live streams. So just a little behind the scenes there. Oh, those are my parrots. They just got scared about something that's outside, but they will calm in a moment there. They probably saw a crow. So that's still not working for me. Let me try one more time. I'm going to remove it, remove Instagram, and then add Instagram. Get the key, a new key, which you have to open Instagram from your browser. Oops. Put in a title. Don't have to put in a title, but I'm going to put in a title. Choose the audience. It'll be public. Next, it creates a stream key that you then put into StreamYard. Save changes. And then hit go live. Maybe. Doesn't seem like it's going live. Connect streaming software to go live. Yeah, oh, there we go. And I am live on Instagram. All right, cool. So now, today I want to go over some exercises you can do to face that fear. If you are feeling fear about creating content and putting yourself out there, and it's all valid too. So if you're feeling hesitant about doing more marketing, about saying what you really think online when it comes to your business, your industry, or more, there's a lot going on right now, that is all valid and understandable. So I want to state that clearly as well. And tricky thing with being self-employed is you do have to promote yourself. So whether that's through speaking engagements, through social media, through, even if you're employed and you are promoting yourself in your interviews, in your resumes, you still got to put yourself out there. If you're feeling fear, if you're feeling procrastination, hesitancy, hesitation, if you're just not unsure or things need to be perfect, then these exercises can help you move through that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that you overcome your fear, because fear has its use. Fear has its um, reason for being there. Fear is that biological signal to keep you safe. So that, I think it's important to recognize that it is there for a reason. And just like Pasha's here for a reason. She seems to know if there's a camera, I'm on. Um, so fear is there to keep you safe. So if we could recognize, okay, I'm feeling the fear, and there are things I can do to work with it, to recognize it, and then continue doing what I'm doing because I have a big purpose. I have a big vision of what I want to do in my business and the message I want to share. Then it's important to to have these tools in your tool belt. So when you're feeling procrastination, when you're feeling fear, when you feel like you have this addiction to chaos, which is now my new favorite term. It comes from the book Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He talks about different self-saboteurs that we may have, especially as entrepreneurs. One of them is maybe you just grew up in chaos, and so that's what you're used to. That is your status quo. So you may, without even thinking about it, create chaos or invite chaos into your business, into your life, so that you stay in that loop, that chaos loop. Anyway, I'm getting a little off track there. Speaking of chaos. So today, let me see if I've got my slides going here. Let me add them up here to the screen. Hey, you can't have the mic. I know. I haven't been giving her a lot of attention today. So you can see her. She wants some cuddles. Oh, ow. Hey, don't do that. Okay. So we're going to feel the fear, make content anyway, and I invite you to turn that self-doubt that you may be experiencing into the thought leadership that you want to share with the world. And here's what I want to cover in about 20, 30 minutes is the truth behind that fear, which we talked about already a little bit. Want to talk about a mini exercise you can do, which I call the fear audit. The truth about your what's so-called unprofessional truth. So if that's one of your fears, is a fear of maybe sounding unprofessional or not sounding ready or not sounding like the expert, let's see how we can use that. And then integrating it into your insights, into your thought leadership. So that's what I'm going to cover today. So let me remove that from the studio. Okay. So you may have something important to say. I'm going to guess if you're watching this, you do have something important to say, but you may be afraid it might come out wrong. Maybe it'll seem unpolished. Maybe someone will take it the wrong way. So you don't say anything at all. You're not posting anything. You haven't written anything in a while. You've been sitting on that book idea. You've been thinking, I'm going to create that podcast or start that YouTube channel someday. And this is for you. We're not going to necessarily eliminate the fear because, like I said, it does have a biological purpose. But we want to move forward knowing that the fear is there, and how do we work with that fear. The first thing I invite you to do is what I call the fear audit. And you can do this now. You can pause the video if you're watching the replay, or you can just make note of this and get back to this during journaling time. And that is to write down one message, story, or belief that you want to share but haven't. So maybe you've been working on something. It's okay if it's not quite on the nose yet, but just think about that one thing that you want to share. For me, it is this idea of perfectionism and professionalism is made to is part of a society not only to hold us back, but also to keep us silent. I do believe that imposter syndrome is really just self doubt amplified in a capitalistic patriarchal society. So if we make you think that you are an imposter and you don't belong here, then we don't have to hear your point of view. We could just go running with the status quo. That's my big belief that I want to develop more. So that is something that I want to share. So write down your message, story, belief that you want to share but haven't yet, or haven't done as much as you want to yet. Now ask yourself, what are you afraid might happen if you post or speak about this? What are you afraid might happen if you post or speak about this? For me, by um, calling out capitalism, calling out patriarchy, I can already imagine the the bros coming in and I don't know, saying what they have to say. And that's not fun. I think in a in-person situation, let's say I was speaking on stage, or maybe I had some shirt that said something of my beliefs, I think I would be afraid of confrontation. I would be afraid of violence. I would be afraid of my safety. So those are real fears. And I think each person needs to decide where and when they are going to speak up about their message or their story or their beliefs, where and when is the right time, and where and when is the right venue. Because I could speak up online, no one's really going to know me in person unless they happen to know me already. So that's a fear. What are you afraid might happen if you post or speak about this? Now, if I post online and I get a bunch of nasty comments, um, it actually helps your post be seen more by that kind of engagement. I could I could block them if I wanted to, or I know you can do this on Facebook. I don't know if you can do this on Instagram. I haven't had to use it. I have to think about that. I think you could do this on Instagram as well, and I'm sure on the others too, is you could delete a comment. You could ban a person. You can hide a comment. So they think their comment is still being seen, but you don't see them. So there are some ways to deal with that. So as you ask yourself what you're afraid might happen, you can also create a a plan of, well, what would I do in that situation? What would I do if I posted something online or spoke about this? What would I do to both protect myself as well as handle any of those haters? Another question you can ask is, whose judgment are you worried about? Whose judgment are you worried about? I'm honestly not worried about the judgment from those people because they're not my ideal clients. So that's fine. It actually weeds them out. But it's something to ask yourself too. Whose judgment are you worried about? And how does that affect your business and your life? Again, all valid fears, all valid emotions, and it's good to put a spotlight on it so then you can work out the plan that you'll handle. And sometimes those fears aren't necessarily real. As they say that people aren't really thinking about you. They're more thinking about what's going on in their life, or, all the stuff going on in the world right now. So just something to be aware of. Third question you can ask is, where did you learn that fear? For a lot of people in marginalized communities, we grew up with this teaching of being quiet, being silent, Don't make a scene, don't cause a fuss, don't be confrontational, don't be angry. You don't want to be the angry person or anything like that. So where I learned my fears, I think it's cultural. I think it's through family teachings. I think it's part of our society in the US, particularly for people of color and for women, for people with disabilities. You're just supposed to like take it. This is how the world is, and you're not supposed to complain because complaining is bad. You don't want to be that person. As I recognize where that learning comes from, I also understand that that learning is there or was there to, again, to protect people, to protect someone. So if you don't stand out, you won't get attacked. And I think there's, again, a time and place for that. We all have to decide when that place is. But again, if you're watching this and you're continuing to watch this, I'm going to think that it is your time to speak up. And you can, again, start analyzing these fears of, what are you afraid might happen if you post or speak up? Whose judgment are you worried about? Where did you learn that fear? And then creating the plans to work with that. Another plan you could do is start small, which is honestly why I like social media. If you wanted to keep your posts private, or maybe you just post this to your close friends or to your close friends. On Instagram, it's just close friends. If you want it to be unlisted, if you wanted to just go to your mailing list, you can always start small, test it out, develop your voice, and then make it more public. That is perfectly fine thing to do. Last exercise I want to give you as part of this fear audit is an NLP, neuro linguistic programming exercise you can do. And that is to give your fear or your thought, your story, your belief a visual element. So if you close your eyes and picture that fear as a shape or color, what does it look like to you? For me, seeing this angry man, it's red and flaming and large. And as you imagine what that fear is, that story or the belief, as a shape or a color, now imagine shrinking it. You can have your eyes closed or not. You can see it in your mind's eye. But imagine shrinking that image, changing its form, and then having it move behind you instead of in front of you. So if I see what my fear is of this angry man who wants to attack me or hurt me, I can imagine him turning from fire to air. So just kind of blowing in the wind, kind of being scattered a little bit. And then instead of in front of me, I can imagine him blowing away from me. And now he's behind me. So fear doesn't disappear, but it doesn't have to lead. It doesn't have to be in front of you. That is my fear audit. So play with it as you like, and let me know how that goes for you. There are some people who use NLP in hypnotherapy, so you can have someone guide you through this process. And this is something that they can do by phone or on Zoom. So if you're called to this kind of exercise, but having challenges on doing it yourself or doing it by yourself, feel free to comment or message me. I'm happy to make recommendations for hypnotherapists who use NLP and who are also trauma informed and work with marginalized communities. I'm happy to make some recommendations. Just send me a message. Okay, so that's the fear audit. The next thing I want to talk about is how your so called unprofessional truth can actually be your insight gold. Unprofessional. That is a loaded term. There are so many things that can be considered unprofessional. Your hair, do you wear makeup or not, your clothing. And there are also unprofessional things that I think are valid, like showing up late, not keeping to your word, not keeping to your promises, not communicating. I think those are all valid. But things that that are part of appearance, I question. The other thing I question about unprofessionalism is also messaging. Messaging, slang, your word choice, all that kind of stuff. I think I have been told way back when in my 20s that using slang made me seem unprofessional. And maybe, yeah, it did to a certain generation who did not connect with that. So I believed it. And I think a lot of I'm Gen X. I think a lot of Gen Xers, I think we're kind of that last of that generation of the generations that have these opinions, these strong limiting opinions. Sorry, the parrots are just like talking back and forth to each other. But I think our generation and older. Okay, Pasha, stop. Sorry. Let me see if I can get her. Nope, she's gonna bite me. Okay. All right. So I think our generation, Generation X, Gen X, and older are part of the generations who put so much weight on professionalism. And then here come the millennials in their t-shirts and jeans in business. I remember being told, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. Okay, guys, stop. Stop. Shh. Um, Stop, or you're going to go in an aviary. Yeah, come here. My husband just grabs her, but she bites really hard. Come on. She's feeling really ornery right now. Okay. Aha, got her. Away from my monitor, anyway. So, what was I saying? These generations are putting so much weight on what is considered professional. And then younger generations come in and change it up. And I love that. I absolutely love that. So I think the same is true when it comes to your messaging. What you may consider unprofessional may actually be what's going to help you stand out in this crowded marketing social media world. If you were to say your truth, something you really believe in your business, in your industry, and if you could say that without any repercussions, I'm curious to what that would be. For me in the coaching industry, oh boy, I've got a lot of thoughts about the coaching industry. And I'm part of that coaching industry. So, what's a hot take when it comes to the coaching industry? Oh, what about the multi-level marketing part of coaching industry, like the coaches who coach all the other things about coaches? That's fascinating to me. How are you a coach or a consultant? And how some people mix that up, and that can be confusing to a client as well as the coach slash consultant. About what's the other thing? Are you coaching or trying to be a therapist? That's another thing. That's another hot take or thing I can go on about in the coaching world. But there's so many. So these opinions that you have, these hot takes, these rants, these emotional truths are often your most powerful content. So if you can reframe what's considered unprofessional into being authentic with discernment, you can transform this truth that you have into thoughtful content, into a place where you are helping other people. And I have some pieces, some content I have out there about the differences between coaching and consulting and what the issues are and all that kind of stuff. And I know if I redo it, if I put it out there again, it can help someone. It could help someone who's considering hiring a coach or a consultant. They're not really sure what they need, or maybe taking a course. Oh boy, got more hot takes about courses too. So you can share these opinions and work on it into this thoughtful content. So something to think about is if you were to write this or to film this, let's say you write out a draft and you work on it and then you put it out in the world. If your favorite client read that post or that article or watched that video, would they feel seen or judged? Because that's another thing I'm not really crazy about. I don't see this so much on Instagram anymore, but for a while I was seeing mostly reels of people complaining about their clients. That doesn't seem like it's the right thing to do either, but they could have massaged it a little bit more into like being authentic with discernment, and instead of putting judgment on a client, is what if we educated our clients as well as potential clients of here's how to get the most out of this service, or here's how to get the most out of this product or whatever. So again, something to think about of how you can turn what's your so-called unprofessional truth into insight gold is as you work on it and your favorite client read it, would they feel seen? There have been times when I've written newsletters and I share stories, and I try to do my best in not putting too many details, so it's not calling out one type. And I'm not calling out clients, but as I'm sharing stories that unless I've had their full permission to use their name and all of their details, I generally make it more general of a client story. But I've had clients reply back and say, "Hey, did you write about me?" And the funny thing is, I wasn't actually writing about them. I was thinking about someone else. But because my ideal clients do have some similarities, yeah, they could have read it and probably saw themselves in what I wrote, even though it wasn't really about them. But it was about a similar issue that my clients tend to have. So how can you turn your unprofessional truth into this insight gold? Is to work on it. Think of it as being authentic with discernment, removing judgment away from it, or at least removing judgment from a person. Maybe you're having judgment around an idea, around a belief system, not the right word, but around beliefs or systematic issues, but not necessarily a person, or at least not necessarily your client. Maybe it can be regarding one person that you're thinking of. But again, a reflection prompt to think of is if your favorite client read your post, would they feel seen or judged? And then lastly, actually I have one more bonus thing, but how do you integrate this? As you're working on this authentic content, you're going to rewrite the message. You're going to massage it. So take that raw message from your fear audit and revise it using this structure. What happened? What was the experience that you had, or that a client had, or a prospect had. What was the experience? Next, what did you learn? What was the learning from it? And then this is where you could share your expertise in this story. And finally, what do you believe now? What is the wisdom or the intuition you picked up from this experience and this learning? And from that, what do you want your audience to take away? So think about your experience, think about the lesson you've learned, think about the wisdom you gained from this, and then what do you want your audience to take away? I'd like to share another NLP anchor exercise you can do is to tap your heart gently and say, so you could think of as heart as like a heart chakra, or if you want to go more on the left, it's up to you. But I can tap my heart and say, this is safe to share because it is true. This is safe to share because it is true. And you could do that exercise while you reread your written post or statement out loud, the one that you rewrote or worked on, which included your experience, your learning, and your wisdom. This is safe to share because it is true. And as a physical anchor, whenever you're feeling that fear, nervous energy, you can go back to this heart and repeat it. And be able to move forward with sharing your message. So it could be heart. I think sometimes for me, it's more solar plexus. It's more of this centered energy. So I'm saying heart, but you may feel your energy in a different place, or your this nervousness or fear. It could be throat, the throat chakra, where you may feel that nervous energy. As I'm like stretching, I'm like, oh, that's tight. So I'll leave that up to you to play with. Again, this is an exercise you can do yourself, or if you want to work with a practitioner and you'd like a recommendation, let me know. Okay. Next is bonus tip is releasing the need for perfection. Waiting for things to be perfect. Often that can be fear in disguise. Procrastination can be fear in disguise. What you can do is one of the phrases I use for myself is feel the fear and do it anyway. So I acknowledge, yep, I'm scared, and just do it. For example, planning this live, I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I'm like, you know what? Full moon is Monday. Oh, no, it's Wednesday. I've got some time when I have babysitting on Tuesday. I think I'm going to go live. So I just went with it. I didn't have a full campaign going. I did have one email, but it was an hour ago. The email newsletter went out an hour ago. So there wasn't a lot of promotion. And I could tell myself, well, let me give it 2 weeks. I will make an event out of it. I could sell it or whatever, and then promote the heck out of it and just do the same thing I just did now. And I can also do this now. Give me this time to work on it and be a person moving forward with in forward progress and look it over, revise it, improve on it. Is this something I want to do again? And then do the whole workshop promotion that goes with it. So perfectionism can be fear in disguise. Procrastination can be fear in disguise. You could feel the fear and do it anyway. How can you do it anyway? There's some of my methods are using a timer. I love using Forest. It's an app. I think it's free. I can't remember if I had paid for it at one point or if it's completely free. But what's cute is it plants. Actually, I can pull up my phone here. It has like little plants that you can choose, and you can set a timer. Let's see if it shows up on camera. Oh yeah, you can see it there. So you can have a little plant and you can move around, change the timer. You could change the tags. So I have different plants and tags depending on what I'm working on. So this purple, is this a Jarkanda tree? Am I pronouncing that right? Jarkanda tree? That tree I only use when I'm working on my content. So if I look at my overall forest for this past year, look at all those purple trees. That's all the times I've been working on my own content. This is what June's looked like so far. And you can, as you use this timer, you earn these forest coins, and you can use these coins to purchase more of these virtual plants, or you can actually use it to plant real trees in a real forest. It says I haven't planted a real tree yet, but I know I have. I've planted a few real trees so far. So I like using timers. I love using body doubling, which is when you're working with another person. It doesn't have to be on the same thing. Some people do this by video. Some people do this even just being in a coffee shop with other people around, or co-working space with other people around. Just knowing that other people are near you working can inspire you to work. There's free meetups. There's one called Shut Up and Write. I haven't gone to them lately, but they have them out there. And there's a bunch of other free as well as paid ones. I've signed up for a year of Focus Mate, where you do body doubling or co-working one-on-one. I actually haven't used it lately because I found a bunch of free ones. And then I also have writing co-working sessions that I host. It goes along with my Substack subscription, the Impact Messaging Lab. So if you want to subscribe to that at $5 a month, I host writing hours Monday through Thursday. And then with that, you have we'll have monthly challenges, we'll have monthly workshops, and there are different things that you can learn from. And even we have a private chat that we can use. So if you want me to take a look at something, or you want to share something you're working on with the community, you can, and get feedback from that. So I'm just launching this. So if you want to be one of the early subscribers, you can subscribe for free. But if you want to do the co-working writing hours, and then the monthly challenges, is $5 a month. If you want to be what's called in Substack a founding member, you could sign up for the year, and you'll be part of weekly coaching calls as well, where I coach my clients on marketing. We mostly focus on marketing, but sometimes we go over sales as well, business coaching, goals, things like that. But it's mostly marketing coaching. So check that out on impactmessaginglab.substack.com. So we do co-working there. That's one of my other tools to just move forward. I give myself deadlines. I have, actually, I can pull it up and share it with my screen. Well, actually, no, I'm not, because it has some private info on it. I actually use an astrology calendar that is called the Time Blazer. And I can put this up on the screen too. Let me just double check the spelling. Time Blazer, and it's based on Chinese astrology. My friend does this, and um, she's tailored the Chinese astrology for business owners. So it has advice on here on when's the best time to launch, when's the best time to send your newsletter, when's the best time to start something new or to finish a project. So that also gives me the inspiration and motivation to get things done because I want to do things on an excellent day or a success day. Today is a good day. I forgot what the day is, but I'll take a look. So using tools like such as the lunar cycle. Tomorrow's full moon, so this is a great time to be able to finish those projects and to start manifesting what you want for the next quarter. So today is a stable day, excellent stable day. So stable meaning the opposite of instability. So doing things on this day to keep things going in an excellent way. That's one of the reasons why I decided to go live. Not only because of the full moon tomorrow, but it's an excellent stable day today. So what did I mention so far? I mentioned timers. I mentioned body dumpling or co-working. I mentioned setting deadlines for yourself or using something like an astrology calendar to create those deadlines for you. What else? Working in tandem. It's similar to co-working, but working with an accountability partner or coach or consultant so that you have to get things done. There are some things where I'm working with a wonderful marketing virtual assistant team. And they're so good. And they definitely keep me on the ball. Like, for example, today I have to approve the video edits they did for my podcast and my YouTube channel. So I need to do that by the end of the day so that we can stay on track. Because when I procrastinate, they can't get their work done. So having accountability to either to a partner, to a accountability buddy, a coach, a consultant, even your assistant can help you get through this process of feeling the fear and doing that anyway. Now, again, if this helped you take even one step closer to sharing your truth, I do invite you to join us in the Impact Messaging Lab. It's a $5 a month space for getting out of your head and into aligned action with prompts, co-working, and supportive chat community. I also have a free journal I can give you, and it's to also uncover these ideas and thoughts you might have that you want to work on. So feel free to comment or send me a direct message on any of the platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and DM the word journal, and I'll send that to you. And yeah, thank you for joining me on this live. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. If this was helpful for you, if there are more NLP exercises that you'd like me to share with you, if you'd like me to dig in more into the mindset stuff when it comes to sharing your message, or maybe we can go more into the actual content strategy of your message. I'm open to ideas. Let me know. I also have replays for previous workshops. There was one on LinkedIn for thought leadership and another one on 30 minutes for 30 days of social media posts. I have those replays available too. Just send me a message. Happy to share those with you. The previous workshops are on a sliding scale, so you can choose what works best for you. It starts at, I believe, $10, or you become a member of the Impact Messaging Lab and you get all those replays included in your subscription. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.